He stole my work, presented it like it was effortless, and I let him walk straight into the trap. He opened that deck with my code and couldn't explain a single line. They asked one question, he froze, and I finally saw exactly where he'd break.
Keep watching. His downfall starts long before the boardroom.
After months working in silence, my boss stole my idea. But on the day he presented it to the board, I didn't say a word. Just watched him stumble, freeze, sweat through slides he couldn't explain, technical terms he didn't understand, architecture he'd never built. In that same room, I watched the game flip. Not because I spoke up, because I let him destroy himself. My name's Aisha Clark, and I just learned the most dangerous lesson in corporate America. Sometimes the best revenge is documentation. It was 8:47 p.m. when the last person on our floor killed the lights. I stayed. Screen full of logic trees, data flows, color-coded modules I'd been building for 6 months. This wasn't part of my job description. Nobody asked for it. That's probably why nobody cared what I did after everyone went home. I was building a workflow automation tool. That's tech speak for, I could save Vanguard Tech Solutions about $2, $3 million a year by eliminating the manual data reconciliation that was burning out our entire operations team. Rework cut by 40%. Processing time down by half. All automated. If it worked and it would work. This changed everything. But to most people at Vanguard, I was just Aisha. The quiet systems analyst who fixed things when they broke. The black woman in the corner who made the infrastructure run but never got invited to strategy meetings. 6 years I'd been there. 6 years of being essential and invisible at the same time. I saved the file. Project Orbit V1. 0 felt like a line in the sand. Before this moment, I only executed what other people designed. After this moment, I created. I backed everything up to my personal cloud. Date-stamped, version-controlled, changelog included. My grandmother used to say, "Baby, always keep your own records. Don't let nobody tell your story but you." She'd been a school teacher in Atlanta during integration. She knew about invisible labor, that habit that obsessive documentation would save me later. I just didn't know it yet. During the day, our office was loud. Glass-walled conference rooms full of people talking about innovation and disruption and ownership. But the same people preaching that ignored the ones actually making things work. I'd gotten used to being last in line when credit got handed out. What I couldn't accept was being last when the truth mattered. I printed diagrams, sketched workflows in a beat-up Moleskine nobody noticed on my desk. Between urgent tickets and system fires, I'd squeeze in adjustments to Orbit, like building a puzzle in secret. Constantly interrupted, but every night another piece clicked. In meetings, I'd tried floating ideas that pointed toward the solution. Got cut off with "good point, we'll circle back." Then someone else, usually someone who looked like the people at the top, would repeat the same thing with different words and get applause. I learned to keep the best cards close. But now, for the first time, I had something too big to ignore. Orbit would map bottlenecks in real time, predict delays before they happened, suggest process improvements automatically. It was giving management an aerial view of everything happening under the surface. If this worked, nobody could call it just another technical fix. That's why I obsessed over every detail, like building a case for my own defense. Not vanity. Survival. The subway ride home, my head was still in the office. Imagined dashboards updating in real time. Executives actually impressed. Maybe just for once hearing my name attached to something that mattered, but I shook it off. Dangerous dream. I knew exactly how that place worked. What I didn't know, someone else was already watching. Someone who didn't create anything, but knew exactly how to take credit for other people's work. Marcus Webb showed up early the next morning, sharp suit, perfect smile. That energy of someone who walks into a room already feeling like he owns it. White guy, mid-40s, VP of operations, the type who'd failed upward his entire career but somehow always landed in management. He moved through the floor, dropping corporate speak about strategic initiatives and value-add deliverables. When he reached my desk, he leaned over the partition. Too friendly. "So, Aisha, how's that side project coming along?" Immediate red flag. I'd never talked openly about Orbit. Just mentioned I was optimizing some workflows. "Still in development," I said, measuring every word. Marcus smiled like he'd heard exactly what he needed. Great, great. Company needs people with vision." He started showing up more. Always with coffee. Always with motivational poster talk about positioning yourself and seizing opportunities. Every word felt loaded. Sounded more like a salesman sizing up inventory than a boss supporting an idea. Then came the ask. "Send me what you've got so far. Let me take a look. I can help you sell this upstairs." Tempting offer for anyone hungry for visibility. But something in me went cold. That silent alarm that doesn't make noise, just weighs heavy. I'd seen this movie before. Different company, same plot. They ask to review your work. Then it becomes our work. Then it becomes their work. Still, hierarchy is hierarchy. I sent him a condensed version, enough to show the concept, not enough to show how it actually worked. At the desk next to mine, Clara Reyes watched everything with the attention of someone who'd seen every corporate game there was. Clara was Dominican, 10 years older than me, survived 3 rounds of layoffs. She knew the patterns. During coffee break, she leaned in close. "Be careful what you share with him." I gave an awkward smile. Tried not to seem paranoid. It's just a summary, nothing detailed. But I knew better. Even summarized, that doc showed the heart of the idea. Marcus spent the rest of the day locked in his office, staring at his screen like someone who just found gold. Late afternoon, he called me in to align expectations. "Look, what you've created has potential, but it's still raw." He talked for 20 minutes about adjustments that made no sense, but kept hammering the same line. "I can help you make this presentable." I left that office feeling small and used at the same time. 2 days later, an email blast hit the entire management team. Subject: Strategic Process Improvement Presentation, led by Marcus Webb. Body copy included terms painfully familiar to me: bottleneck mapping, dynamic optimization, predictive delay, modeling through flow intelligence. It was like reading my own summary back to me, except my name wasn't anywhere on it. Buried in the CC line, Aisha Clark, technical support, not co-author, not contributor, support staff. Clara spun her chair toward me, stared at the screen with pure fury. He did. My stomach went tight, but I hadn't seen anything yet. That presentation was going to be the beginning of everything, because Marcus was about to walk into a boardroom and try to explain something he didn't understand. And every stumble, every mistake, every moment of confusion would leave a trail I could follow all the way back to the truth. Morning of the presentation, the office felt electric. Marcus moved desk to desk with inflated confidence, like someone carrying a trophy. I watched from a distance, trying to calculate how far he'd take this. Then I checked my file access logs. My heart stopped. Recent access timestamps that weren't mine. Times when I wasn't even logged in. Marcus had gone through my directories. Everything. Early drafts, architecture notes, private documentation. He'd broken into my professional diary. I took screenshots, saved them 3 places, encrypted a backup. Then I went to the meeting. Conference room packed when I slipped in and sat in back. Slides already up. Concepts painfully familiar. Marcus adjusted the mic, smiled too wide. "Today I'm presenting an innovative solution I've been developing." Knife to the chest, he started explaining with artificial enthusiasm. But within 2 minutes, it was obvious. His understanding was surface level, almost memorized. He mixed up workflows, skipped critical steps, used terms completely out of context. Some executives frowned, confused by the broken explanation. I recognized every mistake, like wrong notes in my own song. When he hit the technical section, it got worse. Described a module that didn't exist, invented functions, promised impossible timelines, all to impress. Zero understanding of the lie he was telling. I sat silent, taking notes. Then a director asked, "How does this integrate with our current ERP system?" Marcus froze. Just for a second, but long enough to be obvious. I knew exactly why. Integration was the hardest part. The thing that took me 3 months to solve. He gave some vague answer about API bridges and middleware solutions. Buzzwords, no substance. Tried to recover, but the damage was done. The presentation ended with polite applause. More courtesy than conviction. Marcus thanked everyone like he'd just solved world hunger. I left before the crowd dispersed. In the hallway, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to tolerate this quietly. Back at my desk, I opened my laptop with steady hands. Started gathering everything. Dates, versions, logs, emails. That presentation was public theft, but it was also his fatal mistake. Every technical stumble proved he didn't understand what he was showing, and that lighter would become my weapon. Same afternoon, new calendar invite dropped. Project Orbit follow-up, led by Marcus Webb. Clara saw it on her screen. Let out a heavy sigh. He's going to try sidelining you officially. When I walked into the conference room, Marcus was already there, seated like authority. Executives filed in with laptops and questions. The presentation had created buzz, but not the kind Marcus wanted. There were gaps, unanswered questions, things the board needed to understand, and that made him visibly tense. Marcus started by rehashing presentation points, trying to sound confident, but insecurity showed in his hands. Sweat on his forehead, rigid smile. I watched in silence, evaluating every move. We need to accelerate implementation, he kept saying. Like urgency would shield him from hard questions, but questions came anyway. Who developed the predictive logic module? Marcus took a breath, stumbled through empty explanations, like watching someone assemble a puzzle without knowing the picture. We're developing it collaboratively. I caught Clara in the corner, eyebrows raised in disbelief. Marcus tried steering conversation toward next phases, hit details he couldn't support, cited functions that didn't exist, ignored technical constraints, promised absurd deadlines. Executives exchanged looks, noticing the misalignment, initial confidence evaporating like steam on glass. Then a director interrupted. "Aisha, I'd like to hear your technical perspective." My heart jumped. Marcus went rigid, like he'd been struck. First time someone requested the voice he was trying to erase. I spoke with surgical precision, explained only what was necessary, didn't give away too much, not the right time yet, but showed absolute command. Confidence no improvisation could fake. Connected concepts, pointed out risks, suggested real paths forward. Enough for the entire room to see the difference between knowing and pretending to know. Marcus tried recovering control. Yes, exactly what I meant. Nobody looked convinced. I watched in silence, knowing a new game just started. A game where I finally held cards. At the end, the board requested full documentation. All of it. Marcus nodded fast. Face went pale. I knew right then. He was cornered without realizing it. And my chance to prove the truth was coming like an inevitable wave. When the room emptied, Marcus approached. Hard smile. "We need to talk." Voice too low to be friendly, but I didn't feel fear anymore. I felt purpose. That meeting marked the beginning of the turn, and I was ready for whatever came next. Next few days, Marcus's behavior changed. started sending terse messages, demanding urgent reports that were never urgent before. Called me in for quick alignments that were really long monologues about how I should manage expectations better. Every sentence designed to make me feel small, like someone trying to crush what they fear. Break room talk was careful. Nobody wanted to openly criticize Marcus, but everyone noticed his flaws. Something didn't track in that presentation. One analyst muttered, "Didn't notice I was nearby." I pretended not to hear. But the words landed like silent confirmation. Marcus's house of cards was getting wet around the edges. I sent an email asking about next steps. Response came cold. "Focus on operational tasks. I'll handle strategy." Clear message. He wanted me out before anyone realized who actually understood this. I closed the screen slowly, felt injustice rise like fever, but chose method over impulse. Marcus called a private meeting, feedback session. Adopted this paternalistic tone that bordered on insult. "You've got potential, Aisha, but you need to learn not to get attached to your ideas." I almost laughed, because the idea was only mine. But I stayed calm, watched him try controlling the narrative. Every sentence reinforced the same message. I was replaceable. Project would be better in his hands. He had executive vision. Impressive how confidently he lied. But the performance only revealed his fear of truth, and fear always leaves tracks. Walking back to my desk, I felt eyes on me. Clara appeared, placed warm coffee next to my keyboard. "He's trying to destabilize you, I know." Right then, I decided, no more energy, unveiled humiliation. Started mentally cataloging every suspicious move Marcus made, unauthorized access, emails copying my language, disastrous presentation. Each piece fit a bigger picture. Marcus wasn't just opportunistic. He was incompetent, trying to survive in a role too big for him. And I'd been placed in his path as an accidental threat. End of day, alone in the office again. Opened my Moleskine, started recording everything. Not venting, strategic construction. Precise, organized, chronological. Something that could become ammunition at the right moment. Office silence brought uncomfortable clarity. The humiliation wasn't random. It was method, designed to erase me. But erasing someone who masters their field is harder than it looks. Especially when that person documents everything. And I always documented everything. Closing the notebook, I felt something flip inside. Not about revenge anymore. About justice. Professional survival. Marcus started a power game, thinking he'd already won. Didn't know I was playing now, too. And I played better. Came in early. Opened server access reports. Every line confirmed what I feared. Access by Marcus Webb. Times when I wasn't even logged in. Objective proof of invasion. Screenshots. Multiple saves. Encrypted backup. Timestamps. IP addresses. File versions. If anyone questioned it, this was indisputable. That meticulous coldness gave me control I hadn't felt in days. Like reclaiming lost ground, inch by inch. Clara appeared with serious expression. "Aisha saw something you need to know." She'd seen Marcus printing diagrams eerily similar to mine. When asked, he claimed he was refining an idea from the weekend. Lie so blatant it was offensive. I reinforced documentation. Gathered emails where Marcus used technical terms I'd created, terms nobody at Vanguard knew before me. Like watching a painting form. Each isolated piece made sense. Together, they created a clear picture. A picture called intellectual theft. While organizing everything, I realized something crucial. Marcus didn't understand Orbit's internal logic, just knew how to repeat what I did. Without me, any deep question would make him crumble. That fragility could be exploited at the right moment. Late morning, Marcus appeared behind me suddenly. "Why are you going through old files?" Trying to sound casual. Unexpected question confirmed he was monitoring my actions. Just reviewing my own work. Didn't look away. He didn't like the firmness. but didn't push. Soon as he left, my heart raced. That question wasn't innocent. He knew he was vulnerable. Vulnerability makes people like that commit bigger mistakes. Afternoon, I reviewed old project versions. Found something that made my blood run cold. Hidden directory. Shortcut from a careless intern Marcus didn't know about. Folder named Expansion Phase 2, the supposed evolution Marcus promised the board. I clicked, knowing I might discover something huge. First document opened. Shock ran through me. Architecture completely distorted. No logic, no technical coherence. Worse, automated function would run processes that shouldn't run without human oversight. Data duplication, loss, irreversible bottlenecks. Disaster waiting to happen. I kept analyzing, hands shaking, mind ice cold. Each poorly built module revealed not just incompetence, irresponsibility. Marcus was trying to impress the board with an upgrade that had no foundation. Like building a skyscraper on wet paper, then blaming someone else when it collapsed. Opened the log file expecting tests. None. No simulations. No validations. No controlled environments. Marcus intended presenting this as production ready. Operational risk was massive. Only I'd caught it before it was too late. Dark thought crossed my mind. If this failed in production, who'd be blamed? Me, the person tied to initial development. Perfect narrative for Marcus. Concept was solid. She executed poorly. Plan as dangerous as it was calculated. I sat trying to grasp the scope, not just dealing with personal injustice anymore. Financial risk, legal risk, risk to entire company operations. Marcus wasn't just stealing my idea. He was putting everyone in danger. And nobody except me knew. I compared original structure with corrupted version. Almost painful watching careful work transformed into unstable mess. Essential functions missing. Others copied without respecting dependencies. Nothing connected right. Time bomb in software form. Then I noticed something worse. Modified version generated automated reports with wrong calculations. These would go to the board as strategic indicators. Important decisions made on false data. Damage could exceed financial. Hit reputation. I saved everything. Screenshots, comparisons, spreadsheets, versions. Each discrepancy became evidence. Striking how Marcus's attempt at prominence accelerated his own collapse. Just needed to organize everything precisely. Wait for the right moment. That moment was closer than I imagined. Shutting down my computer, I felt fear and purpose mixed together. I carried the truth now, and truth was powerful. Marcus could no longer just harm me. He could harm the entire company, and I'd be the only one capable of stopping it. My fight stopped being personal, became institutional. Next morning, rumors ran through the office like cold wind through cracked windows. Systems showed unexpected instabilities overnight. Automated alerts popping for teams that didn't even know about the project. Chest went tight. I knew exactly what was happening. Marcus's broken Phase 2 was showing cracks. He appeared in the tech area, irritated expression, almost desperate, talking loud on his phone, trying to convince someone everything's under control. Tension in his voice said otherwise. Managers started circulating, demanding explanations. Just the beginning of chaos. I stayed at my desk, watching panic spread. I hadn't deployed anything. Marcus did this on the side, hidden from the team. Now the system was failing exactly where I'd identified problems the night before. Like watching prophecy fulfill itself. Difference was, I had proof. Director of Operations showed up personally. Who developed this integration phase? Firm voice. Marcus tried responding. Words stumbled over weak justifications. Couldn't even explain basic logic. Mask falling apart in public. Clara came to my desk, eyes wide. You seeing this? Systems generating completely wrong reports? I nodded. kept what I really knew to myself. Not time to reveal everything yet. Needed the right forum. But moment was approaching. Afternoon, emergency meeting scheduled with all management. Atmosphere was crisis. The kind that rattles even veterans. Marcus tried positioning himself as solution leader, ignoring he was the cause. Could barely hold his sentences together. Every detail reinforced his lack of preparation. During meeting, a manager pointed out, "This phase's architecture doesn't match what we saw in initial presentation." Marcus went pale. "It's an evolution we made to accelerate delivery." Tried to improvise. Nobody looked convinced. Second manager added, "This doesn't look like evolution. Looks like inconsistency." Room went silent. Marcus started spinning pen between fingers. Clear anxiety tell. I felt moment of truth approaching like unstoppable train. Then the director asked the question that cut through air. "Does anyone here have clear technical understanding of what was originally planned?" Clara looked at me immediately. Marcus too. But the looks meant completely different things. I took a deep breath. Knew that moment would change everything. For me, for Marcus, for the project. I had evidence, technical mastery, clarity, and responsibility to stop the collapse already unfolding. Next step would be crucial. With all pieces accumulating, I built a plan. Not impulsive confrontation, precise construction of facts. First, created hidden system versions, inaccessible to regular users. Each version had logs and comments showing my creative process, impossible for anyone to imitate. Also structured complete chronology of Orbit's development. Dates, prototypes, tests, failures, evolution. Everything organized so detailed that authorship became self-evident, like reconstructing DNA of the idea, something nobody could contest. Clara helped reviewing docs, identifying weak points in Marcus's narrative. We worked discreetly, exchanging files like trading pieces of secret puzzle. Sometimes just a look was enough to understand next step. Silent alliance gave strength to process. Made me realize I wasn't as alone as I'd thought. To prevent interference, I created external encrypted folder. Everything that could be used as proof, screenshots, emails, suspicious changes, even audio from meetings where Marcus's comments incriminated him. That folder was insurance against any extreme move from him. Would only open at exact right moment. As project kept moving forward, I started seeing Marcus differently. Not just opportunistic boss anymore, man on edge of his own failure. Insecurity more evident each meeting. Repeated speeches, dodged questions, fled technical explanations. Mask cracking. Internally, I adjusted emotions like tuning instruments before concert. Knew exploding or crying would hand power to Marcus. Also, knew well-directed silence is stronger than any accusation. So every action was calculated, contained, strategic, invisible war of the intelligent. One afternoon reviewing logs, found what looked like key piece. Marcus made basic mistake copying code sections. Left technical comments exactly as I'd written them. Like leaving my signature at crime scene, I smiled for first time in days. With each discovery, clarity increased. Didn't need to invent anything. Just reveal what already existed. Marcus digging his own hole with each attempt to cover incompetence. My role would simply be illuminating the hole so everyone could see. And that light was almost on. That night, alone in office, reviewed everything final time. Proofs, files, comparisons, unauthorized access. Elegant arsenal, solid, impossible to refute. No rush, just precision. Precision always beats panic. Closing laptop, felt weight of journey, but also quiet pride. Injustice hadn't destroyed me, molded me into something stronger. Now had perfect strategy, built with patience and intelligence. Marcus still believed he was in control, but I knew his end was mathematically guaranteed. 8:47 a.m. when I walked into conference room holding bound dossier. Long table, perfectly aligned seats. Tense silence. Directors talking quietly. Worried looks about system collapse. Marcus there too, stiff, pale, trying to appear in control. Eyes betrayed anxiety. Soon as I sat, Marcus approached. Tense smile. "Don't do anything stupid," he muttered through gritted teeth. Veiled warning. Involuntary confession of fear. I didn't respond. Just turned page of dossier. Ignored him completely. My silence was weapon he feared most. 9 o'clock sharp. CEO began meeting. "We need to understand what happened with Project Orbit Evolution." Serious voice. Marcus rushed to speak, trying to control narrative. But explanations were vague, repetitive, answered nothing. Directors exchanged suspicious looks. "Marcus, explain the automated integration module," technical director asked. He swallowed hard. "Well, it's a process that, we're still fighting." Sentences shattered like thin ice under too much weight. Clear he didn't know what he was trying to explain. I watched in absolute silence. Let his own incompetence expose itself before revealing anything. Marcus started sweating, hand trembling slightly, flipping through poorly prepared slides. Entire room sensed discomfort. Discomfort only grew. Then operations director asked crucial question. "Marcus, what are the technical foundations of this evolution?" Deathly silence fell. Marcus tried answering, words tangled. "It's based on the original proposal that I developed." That was my moment. I calmly closed dossier. "If you'll allow me, I can clarify." Entire room turned. Marcus went pale almost instantly. I stood, walked to head of table, placed dossier down. "All documentation for Project Orbit from conception is here." Firm voice. Opened first section. Showed dates, files, versions, authorship records. Each fact presented objectively. No need for attack. Truth spoke for itself. Next, displayed comparisons. Original version versus Marcus's corrupted one. Showed structural flaws, operational risks, wrong calculations. Demonstrated how his presentation completely contradicted project logic. Each page turned. Marcus's face lost more color. Room stayed absolutely silent. Silence of revelation. Finally, displayed unauthorized access logs, records, dates, IP addresses, times. Everything pointed to Marcus Webb. No room for excuses. When finished, calmly closed dossier, returned to seat. Marcus's fate already sealed. Everyone there knew it. CEO took deep breath. "Marcus, anything to say about this evidence?" Everyone turned, waiting for reaction. Marcus opened mouth. No words came. Looked smaller than ever. "This is a misunderstanding." Voice trembling. Nobody bought it. Evidence was clear, complete, irrefutable. Technical director slowly closed laptop. Symbolic gesture. "You put the company at risk, Marcus." Less than 10 minutes, he was asked to leave room. Marcus left without looking back, defeated, swallowed by his own lies. Door closed slowly behind him. Inevitable ending. I watched with calm I never imagined possessing. Weight of injustice beginning to dissolve. Soon as Marcus disappeared, all eyes turned to me. But this time, no distrust, respect. "We need you to take immediate technical leadership," director said. Heart raced, kept composure. "With proper organization and time, yes. I can stabilize everything." My honesty impressed the table. No triumphalism, no arrogance, just competence. And in that crisis moment, that was gold. Directors looked at me like finally seeing who I'd always been, just never noticed. Company's true quiet leadership. CEO asked for more. "We want you to present complete operational workflow restructuring." I almost smiled. Company finally recognizing value that was always there, only visible when lies fall. "Clara, sitting in back, discreetly raised thumb. I responded with emotional look, shared victory, silent, complete. Marcus underestimated me, tried erasing me, tried destroying me. All that did was highlight my talent for everyone to see. Contrasts reveal truth. Meeting ended. Technical director walked over. "We failed you," she said. Rare corporate honesty. "But we want to make it right." Then made proposal that would change my career, officially lead new process optimization division. I left room with dossier in hands. But weight was different now. Not weight of proof. Weight of new responsibility. Hallway seemed brighter, wider, less suffocating. I'd recovered something bigger than project. Recovered my own voice. At my desk, Clara hugged me. "Knew you'd flip this game?" Smiling. I took deep breath, air entering easier than in months. Internal war was over. I was on winning side, but story wasn't finished yet. Next morning, office looked different. Same desks, same lights, same hallway, but everything meant something else now. I walked with firm step, finally feeling like I belonged in that space. Not as invisible analyst, as someone recognized. Atmosphere around me, quiet respect, sat down. Email from technical director appeared. Subject: "Welcome to Process Optimization Leadership Body." Had details of new structure. Autonomy. I'd have read each line with pride and relief, mixed. More than promotion. Justice. Clara arrived with 2 coffees. "Director, your order," she joked, placing one on my desk. I laughed, finally letting pent-up tension out. Don't exaggerate. Though deep down, liked hearing it. Our friendship had strengthened like steel under pressure. Company seemed to breathe easier without Marcus. Rumors said he'd be formally investigated for irregular practices. Others said he was already lawyer shopping to fight termination. But for me, closed chapter. Focus now. Rebuilding orbit correctly. Spent day organizing teams, aligning deliverables, setting priorities. New team listened with genuine attention. First time my voice had space. Not from obligation, from merit. Curious eyes sought technical direction and clarity. I delivered naturally. Afternoon, reviewing documents, notification on phone, unknown number. Message contained 1 sentence: "You think you've won, but this isn't over." Reading chilled my blood for a moment. Reread. Tried rationalizing. Could be Marcus, someone allied with him, or meaningless provocation. But feeling that ran through me, unsettling, lingering danger. Shadow that doesn't disappear with light. I put phone away without answering. Clara noticed distant expression. Something happened. I hesitated. Decided not to share. Not yet. Nothing serious. Just tired. Didn't want worrying her before understanding what it meant. End of day, looked at empty office. Same view as before. But filled with new possibilities now. One tough battle. Maybe biggest of my career. But also knew big victories attract bigger challenges. Unknown message was proof. Leaving building, breathed night air like breathing future. Didn't matter who tried threatening me. I knew my own worth now. Knew how to protect my work, my integrity, my story. And if necessary, I'd fight again. After all, some shadows only exist because someone finally started to shine.